Hi guys, we continue our discussion of the Arthashastra by Chanakya, and in this video we get into agriculture. The technical details about agriculture, that is rainfall, seed and plant preparation, crops and crop protection, are given in later chapters. The list of crops mentioned in the text is in a later appendix, but cultivation of land directly by the state was done under the supervision of the Chief Superintendent of Crown Lands. Land not directly cultivated could be leased to sharecroppers who got 1/4 or 1/5 of the harvest if they contributed only labor, and 1/2 if they provided all inputs. That sounds pretty fair. If the land was previously uncultivated, the payment to the state was to be agreed beforehand. Even this could be waived in times of distress. The revenue from crown lands was shown separately in the accounts as Sita. I don't know why it's called Sita. Okay, now there's a diagram, but I'll read out to you, and it will be easy to understand anyway. So there were three kinds of arable lands. Under arable land, there came crown land, private land, and pastures. So one's owned by people, one's owned by king, and pastures. Then came forests. There were two kinds of forests, productive and non-productive. Under productive forests, there were ones that were for produce, like wood, and ones that were elephant forests, for catching elephants and training them for the king's cavalry. And under non-productive forests, there came those which were reserved for ascetics, for sadhus and stuff, ones for recreation, for hunting and stuff, for the kings, and third, which were specifically wildlife sanctuaries. Then came reservoirs. There were two types of reservoirs, crown property and private property. Two kinds of mines, crown operated or leased to private operators, and other kinds of land which were land suitable for settlement or wasteland, barren lands. Private farmers were under an obligation to cultivate their fields. It was a punishable offense for a farmer or a tenant to neglect or abandon his field at the time of sowing, or for the farmer to take away the land from the tenant. Only when so, farming should not stop at any cost. That was the law of the land, at least as recommended by Chanakya. Or abandon his field. It was a punishable offense for a farmer or a tenant to neglect or abandon his field at the time of sowing, or for the farmer to take away the land from the tenant. Only when circumstances were such that cultivation was impossible was this obligation lifted. So maybe when it becomes barren, or maybe there's a flood. Farmers paid an agricultural tax in kind of 1/6 of the produce, this being shown separately in the accounts as bhaga. In times of great financial stringency, the tax could be raised to 1/4 or even 1/3 in case of grains. Every time there's a problem in the society, or there's some calamity that has come upon, we see that Chanakya raises taxes. As in the case of the petrol price hikes. Why? I think that's good in a sense that when there are such problems that have arrived economically, you should not encourage or create an artificial demand for things that don't even exist at the moment, or which are short in supply, or which are costing too much. So I think this is a very correct decision by Chanakya, obviously. In times of great financial stringency, the tax could be raised to 1/4 or even 1/3 in case of grains. Special levies had to be paid on other commodities, and the chancellor could force farmers to grow a second crop. Laborers in the state sector were given food according to the number of people in their families, and a cash wage of 1 1/4 per month, except for slaves and those working off their fines. Blacksmiths, carpenters, etc. were paid according to their professions. In the private sector, the customary rate, unless there was in the private sector, the customary rate was paid unless there was prior agreement to the contrary, and it was 1/10 of the produce. Farmers could not sell crops, fruits, vegetables, or flowers at their fields, gardens, or orchards. Farmers could not sell crops, fruits, vegetables, or flowers at their fields, gardens, or orchards, but had to bring them to the market. Sale elsewhere than at the point of production attracted a heavy penalty. The punishment for stealing agricultural produce was 200 pund. In times of financial stringency, the punishments for a farmer hiding his own produce and for anyone stealing were even more drastic. The chancellor is advised to, this is called hoarding, and so Chanakya was very strictly against hoarding. The chancellor is advised to use secret agents disguised as ascetics, as sadhus, to find out about dishonest farmers and cowherds.